This is put together by Ken Klippenstein, who always does great job. And he put together some of the greatest hits or greatest. They're not really greatest hits. They're greatest pauses. They're greatest ridiculously awkward pauses of Mitch McConnell. And here's the thing. I wouldn't make light of this. I wouldn't laugh at it. I wouldn't even talk about it if it weren't for the fact that these people are supposedly controlling the United States of America. They're some of the most powerful people in America. And he calls it, Klippenstein calls it a gerontocracy. I don't think he's the first to use that term. But to force these people who are past their prime, past their ability to think, and this is not to say every 83-year-old can't think, but this one can't, past their ability to be doing this job, and they keep being shoved into those offices, up to those podiums, because it's just easier to win elections if the name on the ballot is the same guy. Furthermore, corporate America doesn't have to worry that he's going to behave like a curveball. He's not going to turn against corporate America because they know how he'll behave because he's been doing it for 7,900 years. Anyway, we'll go through a couple of Mitch McConnell's greatest hits, those amazing moments that made us know and love him so well.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good? Mitch?
Okay, Mitch. Anything else you want to say, or should I just go back to your press? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
And then they slowly realize that they need to escort him off because they need to continue the theatrics that this guy knows where he is or what he's doing. They don't just go, oh my God. Like if this would have happened to your grandpa in the living room, you'd go, oh my God, there's a problem. What's your problem? Like, I don't mean, what's your problem? Come on, Gramps. No, I mean, what is the issue? How do we help you with it? Let's go to a hospital. Let's talk to a doctor. Let's try and figure out what's going on. But instead, because they're trying to keep the false charade of America going, they say, Mitch is done talking. He had no more questions or no more answers for the press, and he would like to go back to his office. No, that is not what happened. His brain short-circuited because his brain does not function any longer. And they kept propping him up there as if he was some kind of leader. By the way, Ken Klippenstein also, this may be his term, I don't know, used the term mothball mafia, which I like that one too. He called Mitch McConnell the mothball mafia and Don. Here's another one.
what are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
For those of you listening to the podcast,
Senator, running for re-election in 2026.
staring off into space.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
I'd love to know what that conversation with him is. Sir, are you aware you're not saying anything? Sir, what reality are you in right now? If this weren't the laughable collapse of the U.S. empire, you wouldn't keep putting these people into office. You would say, hey, these people are past their prime and let's move on. Let's find people that can actually help Americans in their day-to-day, help anybody across this country to live a better life. But no, that's not what you do in a collapsing empire. That's not what you do in a plutocracy ruled by the wealthiest people in the goddamn country. No, in this ridiculous theatrical bullshit, you keep propping them up and you say, this is the thing you voted for. Here they are. The guys you know and love. It's elder abuse and it's ridiculous. And they did the same thing with Dianne Feinstein. They did the same thing with several of these oldest members of Congress. I mean, even Pelosi is barely functional. Here he is again. Now, this one is particularly fascinating because it's a 60 Minutes interview, and they clearly have to cut around the fact that he has no idea what he's talking about. And she does her, Leslie Stahl, the propagandist in chief of 60 Minutes, does her best to try and make him seem as if he had some answers for her.
You've said he's nasty. You said he's not very smart. You said he's a sleazeball.
Well, those were private comments, and
Well, but they're in your biography.
yeah.
She's talking, by the way, who the he is in that is Donald Trump. So Mitch McConnell, she says, Mitch McConnell, you said he's a sleazeball. Those are private comments in your book. Yes, that's right. This next one, she basically has to reframe things to, or skip ahead basically to not acknowledge that he has no idea what he's talking about.
Your staff, after the crisis was over, you went and spoke with them. It was a highly emotional situation. You remember?
Oh, I remember well.
Of course he does.
Remember what you told them?
That yeah, I remember what it told.
That emotion turned to fury.
They just edit around it. He has no idea what he told them. He probably doesn't know what she's talking about. He probably doesn't know who them is. But she says that emotion, that was an emotion. That was him going, oh, I have no idea what in God's name we're speaking about right now. Anyway, sorry to see you go, Mitch. Apparently he'll be retiring at the age of 83, at the spring chicken age of 83. This is what a dying empire vomits up as our quote unquote leaders. This is what it vomits up. These largely old white men that they keep in power, quote unquote, forever. And we know that for the most part, the real power does not lie in Congress. Congress barely does anything anymore. They've given up their ability to declare war, which was one of their biggest things they were responsible for. But they've also recently, it seems, given up their purse strings. That was the second most important thing, right? Was Congress has the budgetary decisions. Now, they still vote on those things. They still technically, quote unquote, decide those things. But Trump has been basically saying, yeah, I'll put the money wherever I want. So you can budget it for A, B, and C. And if I don't like A, B, and C, I won't send it there. Well, boy, that seems to be the last thing that Congress actually had some power over, was where some of this money goes. And now President Trump is saying, I don't feel like it. We'll see what happens. We'll see who wins this power struggle.